You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marcy Persky. What do French tourists, veterinarians, and padded toilet seats have in common? The answer? This podcast.
Can you hear old Snorty laying right next to me? This dog snorts so loud that I can hear it through my headphones.
You keep swearing that I should hear that dog snoring, but I do not hear the dog snore.
You're lucky.
Well, as long as he doesn't sleep in my bed. So you had a day of adventure, one more trip down the mountain to the vet this time.
Today we took the new kitten, who is 12 weeks old and weighs 2.5 pounds. So we're talking tiny.
Yeah.
She went to the clinic in Flagstaff and she got spayed Saturday. But she's having some kind of after effect that we don't like. So we took her and the big boss was there and he said, well, we can do one of two things. One, cost way less. And this time I said, well, what would you do? And he actually answered me. He said it's highly likely she was exposed to something at the clinic. And I'm saying that with my teeth clenched.
And so they gave you the option, the expensive and the cheaper, which is good because in a lot of places you have to clamor for the reasonable thing for the second option. It doesn't matter if you're at a department store or if you're dealing with Steve in India. You have to sort of slow everybody down and go, hey, wait a minute. That makes no sense. So
yes, we're going through that right now, kind of. With the kid's new car.
Oh?
Yeah, the kids have had this car for 3 months. Luckily, they bought everything. They bought the warranty. They bought all this stuff that I never used to buy. But the car died, and we had to have it hauled in to Flagstaff. It was towed an hour away. And the Kia dealer called yesterday and said, oh, we're giving you a new engine and a new catalytic converter, which means it's their fault.
Yeah.
Well, Frankie said to the kids, you need to go back and say, what are you going to do for me while you keep my car for 3 months?
Yep.
And they said, well, if you go rent a car, we might reimburse you. Remember the old days where you were leaving your car and they just gave you some junker off the lot and said, here?
Yeah, but the problem is everything on the lot is some junker. The junker they're about to sell to somebody else.
No, their car's nice.
You're keeping them from selling all their junkers if you take one and drive it around.
But yes, I was very shocked that they expect someone to give up their vehicle for 3 months.
Yeah, I think I would make a fuss about that.
Yeah, I'm sending Frankie. These kids don't have enough years behind their belts.
Well, they need to learn. They need to learn from a Frankie, or my kids have watched me. Every time they do a Turi, I'm so proud. My favorite tactic, by the way, is to go in person and just plant myself in front of the counter and not move until I get the answer I want.
I still think of these two 20-somethings as teenagers.
Well, they'll learn. Before Frankie goes in, he needs to say, now watch how this is done.
Oh, believe me.
Observe the master at work.
Yep. You know, I was thinking about this the other day because I was listening to somebody that was on the radio and they were complaining about how rude someone was to them in a restaurant drive-through. And the host said, you know, almost everyone is rude now. And so I was trying to think back. Are people ruder than they were back when I was younger? And I don't think they were. I think that people are just rude in general.
I don't have an answer to that. I do think that it's possible that our current climate of discussion is such that people feel no compunction about being rude electronically.
But that has nothing to do with the drive-through.
Well, it's weird. I mean, I'm thinking about what you're asking now. Are people ruder? I have a friend who sent me something by one of our favorite old-fashioned country artists, Merle Haggard. And I said, he loves Merle and I love Merle. And I said, do you know this song by Merle Haggard? And if you know it, do you know the answer to it by this? The song came out, in the middle of the 60s. I said, do you know the alternative song to it by this hippie band? And I sent them both to him, and I got a whole political thing. And I'm like, I just wanted to know if you knew this song.
Yeah, see, I've eliminated all of those people from my life, and I know that you're more of a look for the good side. Always look on the bright side
Yeah,
than I am.
I just
For
couldn't.
me, it's just like, okay, never mind, bye.
My
You're gone.
my point of this, because I know you have a shorter leash
Yes.
on your emotions in this regard than I do, but in my head, I just thought to myself, would it have gone this route with somebody with the same politics 30 years ago? And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if someone would have written a whole invective about the hippie draft dodgers and the National Guard, and I don't even know what all. I don't know if I would have gotten that answer 30 or 40 years ago.
I think that going back to are people ruder now than they were, I think everybody, it's human to wake up in a bad mood every now and then. If you're dreaming about weird stuff, or you're still tired, or just you're annoyed by your ceiling. I don't know. I'm looking up at the ceiling right now. It's kind of annoying.
It's on the list.
Yeah, it's got dirt. Anyway, a dirty ceiling is now going to piss me off for the rest of the day.
Okay.
No, it's just, we all have our days.
Right. And you just don't know if someone else is having one of those days.
Exactly. Someone might have gotten out of bed and looked up at their ceiling
and be furious.
Saw something hanging down. And it ruined their day before they even got out of bed.
I have a hocusy pocusy friend, and that a weird version of that happens with my hocusy pocusy friend. There was somebody in line at the bank just carrying on the way that grouchy, rude people will do on lines.
Yeah.
And my hocusy pocusy friend listened to this person just spouting horrible language and being rude. And my friend walked around to the other side of the person and said, "Who hurt you?" And the hugely awful person just broke down in tears. So, yeah, well, so there's another side of that. Something may have happened to them. So that's true. We should try to be nicer, but then I would have no work at all, and I would have no podcast, and I would have, no radio career. I would have nothing.
We'd probably both be dead if we had to hold everything in. And so, speaking of that, okay, here's something that was really annoying.
Yes.
Okay, so I stopped at the grocery store on my way home from the vet to pick up two things. And right in front of us is a huge tour bus. Like massive, one of the biggest I've ever seen. And out pours this never-ending stream of teenagers who I soon find out don't speak English. They're from France.
Ugh.
And they're in every single checkout line, including the self-checkout, which they don't know how to use.
Of all the ethnic groups in the world, I'm pretty welcoming to everybody except the freaking French.
You know what?
What?
I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but you could tell that they weren't from around here. I mean, they were just all so well put together for a bus trip.
They're French.
I mean, I know they're French.
And I don't care how well put together they are. I care that they care how well put together I'm not. My feeling is...
I just don't want them to clog up the lines at my grocery store.
Well, that's a modest aspiration. My desire is for them to take their expensive purses and shoes and sweaters back where they came from and lord it over themselves and leave us out of it.
Yes, they were very, very well dressed.
Yes, they are. My feeling, and the women will try to hike the Grand Canyon probably in high heels because that's the way it is.
Well, no, these were high school seniors, so they're not really women. But you did notice that they had incredibly long nails.
Really?
Like poke you in the eye fingernails.
Huh.
Which I thought was really weird.
I thought that was just something you saw on cops when they pull people over and the people lip off to the police, which never ends well. You've probably been served these videos of these women being uncooperative, and they are always holding their phones and videotaping the police, and wrapped around the phones are these 7-inch long acrylic manicures. It's a thing.
Yeah, so you look around, and here are these French kids in our little grocery store, and you could just pick the locals out like right away.
Well, yeah,
Like,
they're not speaking French and they're poorly dressed. I understand that.
they're wearing torn T-shirts and big old cowboy hats, or they're basically barefoot.
Flip-flops. Do you know what happens after this, don't you? It's the same thing that happened with grunge in Seattle. A bus of French tourists came through Seattle, I'm sure of it, and saw that everybody was wearing flannel shirts and ripped up
They're
jeans.
gonna copy us.
They're going to go back to France. They're all going to wear Walmart flip-flops, torn T-shirts, cut off their nails, and then the worn flip-flops and the cut-off T-shirts will be made by some fancy designer, and you will be able to buy them at Bergdorf Goodman for $600.
The mountain redneck look.
Yeah, if grunge can go, why not the mountain redneck look?
But there was one good thing about it.
Wait, you make it
was that the store was so overwhelmed
Yes.
that we managed to shove the carrier with the kitten underneath the stroller, so we didn't have to leave her in the car.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
If the French keep coming through and observing the mountain redneck attire of your fellow Williamsites, Williamsonians, if they keep coming up and seeing this, you will be able to sell your old T-shirt collection for a lot of money really soon.
Oh, but I hang on to it so tightly.
Yeah, not if it were like $1 million for your old Billy Idol T-shirt. You would sell it for that.
I have no lights at Wrigley Field T-shirts.
I know, that's your pride and joy. You don't have to sell that one. Well, all I'm saying is that some French designer may be asking you, begging you, crawling on the rocks and snakes of Arizona to get your legit T-shirts, is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So the kitten's going to be okay. Fashion.
Well, I hope we just moved her into, intensive care, AKA my bathroom.
Do you think you're ever going to have anything in that bathroom that's not like, are you ever going to have a bathroom that's just for people?
No. It doesn't even have a screen in there anymore because Kevin kicked the screen out.
Kevin the goat. Yep.
Kevin the goat
One
kicked the
day
screen out of my bathroom window.
Sit down on the toilet and there's Kevin the goat.
Yep. That's what he says.
That sounds very goat-like. It does.
That means I see you. I see you poop in goat language.
That sounds better than the other bathroom sounds that you could hear. And I'm not talking about the ones that other people are thinking about. I'm thinking about the sound. Do you remember when padded toilet seats were a thing?
Yes.
So
yeah.
First of all, I hated padded toilet seats because it felt like you were sitting on lips. But the second thing I really hated about padded toilet seats.
Hey, I want to know how you know that it's like sitting on lips.
Well, they felt like lips, and I
need to know.
Extrapolated. So the second thing
yes.
that I really hate about the padded toilet seat is also that it makes this weird noise when you sit on it. It makes this noise like...
Yep.
And
you deflate it every time you sit.
I know, and it's panicking. I mean, I can't even imagine. You think, oh my God, the whole toilet is inflatable. It's all going to collapse, and I'm going to be...
You know what? I prefer those, though, to the wooden toilet seats. Do you remember those?
I do.
Those would hurt my booty because I don't have any padding back there.
Yeah, okay. So that for you, it makes sense. It's good to know that here in America, no matter what kind of backside you have, there is a toilet seat for you here in America. And can they say that in France? No, they cannot.
No.
Right.
I had a toilet seat that had like fake fur around it.
Ugh.
And then the guys from Kiss
disgusting.
On the back of the lid.
Disgusting. I can't even. I'm going to throw up. It's the second time in the most recent few months.
It was my favorite toilet seat ever.
Throw up. But
the boys kept peeing on it.
Yeah, that's why I'm going to throw up. Exactly why I'm going to throw up right now. Thanks for listening to the Turi Writers She Said What podcast. Since you've made it to the end, you might want to know that my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air, is not only available in print, but now also in complete audiobook form, narrated by me and available on Audible.